वैमान्याः सभायामास्यां शोभमानाः स्वविद्याकुशलतासु देदीप्यमानाः धुरन्धराः विद्यांसः विदुष्यः च सर्वेभ्यः इयमहं सुमनमण्डलः BSSEI सर्च टू रिसर्च परिवारपक्षतः सुस्वागतं धन्यवादं शुभेच्छाम् अपि च निदाघसन्धयाः कुशलमङ्गले विनिवेदयामि। इह अस्मदीयसत्रे अद्य खलु सहस्रदिधितिरेव चकास्ति दर्शनचक्रचक्रवर्तिनः भागदेव्याः पुरुषावतारः तत्र भवतो महाराष्ट्रस्य कविकुलगुरु कालिदास संस्कृत विश्वविद्यालयस्य कुलपतिचरः श्रद्धेयः वरिष्ठ प्राध्यापकः स्वविद्या तेजसा ज्वलन हुतासनः मधुभारती मधुसूदन पेन्ना वर्यः आसमुद्र हिमाचले अस्य महामतेः विषये नास्ति किञ्चित् अविदितम् तथापि स्वागतभाषणस्य औपचारिकता मया यथामति पालनीया अतः उच्यते महोदयः तस्य स्नातकोत्तरकक्षां सम्पाद्य योगशास्त्रं साहित्यम् अपि च भारतीयदर्शनम् इत्यादिषु विषयेषु स्वरुचिं प्रकटयन् तेषु विषयेषु च क्रमशः स्ववैदुष्यं सम्पाद्य विद्यावारिधिं समापितवान्। स्वजीवने बहुषु भारतीयदर्शनसम्बन्धिषु विषयेषु स्वव्युत्पत्तिं वाग्मितां च सम्पादयन् आचार्यः प्रवीणेषु विद्याप्रतिष्ठानेषु निजम् अध्यापनजीवनं सञ्चालयन् गिरिवारी धाराभिः छात्राः छात्रान् च स्नापयामास। इदानीम् एष भारतीयसंस्कृतकुलतिलकः कविकुलगुरु कालिदास संस्कृत विश्वविद्यालये रामटेकनगरे उपाचार्यत्वेन सर्वेभ्यः चकास्तितराम्। तत्रैव सम्पूर्णस्य भारतीयदर्शनविद्यासङ्कायस्य अध्यक्षरूपेण तस्य भव्यस्थितिः सर्वान् अतिशेते। योग न्याय वेदान्तादिषु शास्त्रेषु तस्यास्ति अभिरुचिः। पूर्वोक्तेन वर्षे गुलाबराव महाराजस्य उपरि महाकाव्यं कवयन् तेन साहित्य अकादेमी उपायनमपि आयत्य चकार। तस्य द्वे महाकाव्ये 10 लघुकाव्यानि 30 अनुवादकर्माणि अपि च बहुविधाः अन्याः कृतयः सन्ति। तिरुपतिस्थः जातीय विश्वविद्यालयतः स्वस्य सुरभारती प्रचारकर्मणिः अनुदिनं व्यापृतः महाभागः डिलीट इति सम्मानिकी ख्यातिमपि आप्तवान्। नेदरलैण्ड् देशे वैश्विके संस्कृतसम्मेलने तस्य विशिष्टातिथिरूपेण योगदानमासीत्। प्रायः 60 वाग्वैखरी महोदयेन अवगता। योगशास्त्रस्य उपरि तस्य भाषणादिकर्मणः सान्द्रमुद्रिका अपि उपलब्धा वर्तते। रामानुजाचार्य प्रतिष्ठितस्य तिरुमालापीठतः शास्त्ररत्नाकरः अपि च साधनापुरस्कारः, सात बेलखर पुरस्कारः, सोमनाथ ट्रस्ट पुरस्कारः, श्रीभाष्य जातीय पुरस्कारः इत्यादिकं सर्वं महोदयः स्वकृत्या प्राप्तवान् अस्ति। तस्मै सत्रागमनाय प्रणामाः। अस्मत्पक्षतः च हार्दिकं सुस्वागतम्। सत्रे विराजते श्रद्धेया अध्यापिका सविद्याकलासु निष्णाता अपि च अस्मदीया श्रद्धेया आचार्या साक्षात् नीलोत्पलदलश्यामा सरस्वती डॉक्टर श्री गौरीकुमारी मुंडा महाभागा। तस्याः विद्याप्रसभत्वं समग्रे झारखण्डे इति राज्ये पूर्वभारते च ख्यातिम् अगात्। धनबाद इति प्रमण्डल्य प्रसिद्धे महाविद्यालये महाभागा स्वस्य उच्चशिक्षां समापितवती। ततः विनोबा भावे विश्वविद्यालये स्वस्य दर्शनविषयकं शोधकार्यं समापितवती। भारतीयदर्शनविषये विशेषतः वेदान्तदर्शने साहित्ये च तस्याः रुचिः अधिका वर्तते। प्रायः 10 स्थलेषु तस्याः शोधपत्राणि प्रकाशितानि, कुत्रचित् च महाभागया तानि पठितान्यपि। सा इदानीं छात्रबोधसौकर्याय ग्रन्थविवेचनकर्मणि संलग्ना वर्तते। तस्य च सत्रगमनाय अभिनंदनानि भूयांसि नमांसि। और हम सबके साथ उपस्थित है श्रद्धेय अध्यापक डॉक्टर शैलेंद्र कुमार सिंह जी। वे मगध विश्वविद्यालय बोधगया के दर्शन विभाग में अध्यापक के रूप में कर्म तत्पर हैं। मगध विश्वविद्यालय बोधगया के अनेकों गवेषणा संबंधित संगठन में स्थायी मान्यता प्राप्त सदस्य के रूप में वे विराजमान हैं। विश्वविद्यालय के एकलव्य नामक क्रीड़ा संगठन के भी वो स्थायी सदस्य है। पंडित मदन मोहन मालवीय शिक्षक शिक्षण समिति जैसे प्राय 6-7 जगह के फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम में उनका भव्य योगदान है। गवेषणा से संबंधित तथा भारतीय दर्शन में संबंधित अनेक विषय में लेख, आलेख, प्रबंध, निबंध, एकल पुस्तक आदि रचना के माध्यम से वे अपने नाम को गरिमान्वित किए। अखिल भारतीय दर्शन परिषद के वे स्थायी सदस्य भी हैं। महाशय को हमारे सत्र में सुस्वागत तथा नमन ज्ञापित करते हैं हम। भवन्तः सर्वे आन्तं यावत् सत्रे तिष्ठन्तु ज्ञान सुधारसं च पिबन्तु। नमो नमः।
সুমনাকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। এরপর আমি অনুরোধ করব ইন্ট্রোডাক্টরি স্পিচ দেওয়ার জন্য ডক্টর শৈলেন্দ্রনাথ কুমার সিং মহাশয়কে, অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট প্রফেসর, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ फिलोसॉफी, मागध यूनिवर्सिटी, बोध गया, बिहार। अभी मैं अनुरोध करता हूँ डॉक्टर शैलेंद्रनाथ कुमार सिंह महाशय को। सर। सर आपका माइक म्यूट है शायद।
नमस्कार। ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर कवि कुलगुरु कालिदास संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी, प्रोफेसर मधुसूदन पेन्ना रेड्डी sir, CEO and the founder of the program BSSEI Search to Research, Mr. Amit Kumar De, and Dr. Gauri Munda, and my dear friend Anant Mukherjee ji, who invited me and provided me this platform to interact and hear the great laureate of our country, Professor Madhusudan Penna Reddy. Though I'm much interested to listen to Sir comment and Sir speech over the topic, but you have invited me to give me the introductory speech regarding your program. So first of all, I must congratulate you for this initiative, which is called Search to Research. Actually, the orientation of the research program, especially in the classical subjects like philosophy, darshana, and Indian languages, perhaps got disoriented in our country, and it has been overlapped by the colonial hangover in the past. But with the effort of the great people like Professor Madhusudan Penna Reddy ji and others who contributed in many ways to enrich not only the great classics and classical languages of India, but to rejuvenize the research program, which is the utmost urgency in our country to remove the colonial yoke and the mental slavery and give us the confidence that why India was called as a Vishwa. Today's program is especially focused upon the research scope of Ramanujan philosophy. So I must say that in all Vedantic philosophy, there is a wider scope always for research, especially when we focused upon Sri Darshana or the Sri Vedanta, Vishistadwita Vedanta, which is called qualified dualism. We get to know that Acharya Ramanuja was the disciple of Yamunacharya, and himself he admitted that he is the flag bearer of Bodhayan Muni, and he explained the Vedantic philosophy in a different way from the monistic philosophy or Advait Vedantin. The speciality about Ramanujacharya's philosophy or Vaishnavism is that there are many research areas. We may search here the non-dualism, qualified non-dualism, epistemology, qualified non-dualism, metaphysics. We may explore the many ideas explained there in the cosmol evolution theory, Panchikaran theory. But for me and for this talk, it's very much focused upon his two basic ideas. The first one is that the realization of Brahman or Ishvara for a jiva, and in how many ways a jiva realizes his or her true self, the way he explained in that is really a crucial area of research, and it is a less explored area. Spirituality, which is the essential character of Indian philosophy and Sanatana Dharma, has been mistaken always as some mystic activity, or which is less explicable, and many things have been said on the name of spiritualism. But in Ramanujacharya philosophy, with the method of bhakti and prapatti, how oneself get realized to the supreme being, the ultimate reality of their self, is a crucial area of research. That bhakti is a scientific principle. Either it is called as a method of devotion or the complete surrender to the will of God, Ishvara. And this methodology is quite relevant for the many subjects who are examining in their own way, like psychological way of learning, that what is the role of bhakti to remove the depression, what is the role of bhakti to get attainment, feeling of fulfillment in your psyche, or role of bhakti to learn to realize the peace and how to bring harmony in the society. In this regard, I further extend our area of research as bhakti marga, basically propagated by the Vishistadwita philosophy, and which has become the pioneer in the medieval India, and it was the philosophy which kept alive the hope for the Sanatan way of living, and through the Bhakti Marga Santan, they connected the country from Alvar Bhakti movement to the from south to north. So it is one of the most I think most and critical and creative contribution of Vishistadvaita philosophy, that it seeks. Excuse me. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
it seeks internet connection was interrupted. Basic principles, it laid the basic principle of humanism for a common human being in place and proved the relevance of the subject philosophy, that how much it is important to to realize yourself, your soul, and bhakti and prapatti may be examined in this way. Second thing is that aesthetical study is always a neglected area in philosophy, especially in the context of Indian philosophy, Bharatiya Darshana. And here, we can focus upon Sri Ramanujacharya philosophy, that how divine manifestation through bhakti, how divine manifestation happened in the architectures, temple architectures, in the aesthetical writings, in the aesthetical poetries, in the bhakti poetries, and this has given a lot of, it contributed a lot of cultural tenets to the oldest civilization of the world. So aesthetical impact mapping is another important area through which researchers may bring a new insights to the Vishistadvaita philosophy. There are many other things, and are the other greatest philosophy, so that may be explored in many ways, like tattva analysis in Sri Bhashya. But in modern time, how through textual reading, reading Sri Bhashyas, how we can get the exact meaning and other commentaries in order to get a deeper understanding of philosophical arguments expressed, like refutation of Maya. It is one of the best. Seven Anupattis are the best critique to understand the reality of Maya as a positive force, and we may relate it into our to understand our cosmic theories, and we may refute the Westerners' claim for Indian philosophy, which they call that it is escapist philosophy, that Indians are generally not optimistic and they are escapist. But in the refutation, through the refutation of Advaitin Maya principles through their Anupapattis, this may be another area that we can show that positive force of Maya is how much relevant, important to this worldly creation. Few other more areas are really important to research from the Vishistadvaitin perspective. That is philosophy of mind, the functions of mind, and its impact through the method of bhakti. In that stage, how the consciousness converts from I to we and get a harmony to live with Ishvara, Jiva, and Brahman. Environmental ethics, which has got very much prominence in nowadays for every discussion and debate in every subject. Here, Sri philosophy, or the Vishistadvaita philosophy, may play an important role, that how that every being is so much connected, though separated from its supreme being. So we may learn some new lessons. Another area like social justice, principle of equality, is the most desired goal of humanity since its evolution. And no doubt, not only the Vishistadvaita, but Advaitin philosophy also gives a wonderful insight to bring equality, to feel equality in this worldly civilization, and social justice, which was the most important political goal of the modern civilization, that may brought through the the study of the Shrivasya and Advaita Vedantin philosophy. And interfaith dialogue are the principles of harmony through realization of the bhakti, the Ishvara puja. That may be also the one of the most important area through which we can put this classical philosophy into modern perspective. See, everything have to prove its existence from the perspective of utility, but not like as Swami Vivekananda said that every time you seek the utility in terms of monetary development, in terms of gains. What will be the price for a peaceful mind? What will be the price for a peaceful existence of the society? And definitely, if somebody involves them in the bhakti of some the supreme being, or completely surrender their existence to the will of God, this is the matter to study, and it must took seriously. It requires serious research work, and I think temple architecture is also the one temple. Temples were the major, places, major places in the medieval Indian history period. They spreaded the knowledge, they disseminated, they were the centers of dissemination of knowledge, especially in southern India. So we haven't get a proper study about those things, so it could be conveyed, it could be explored through the Vedantic philosophy, especially Vishistadwita philosophy. And as I said earlier, that I'm more eager to listen Professor Madhusudan Pennareddy ji. So I'll stop here myself. I thanks again to the organizers for providing me this opportunity. Namaskar.
Scope of research in Vishistadvaita iti अस्माकं विषयः यावदहं स्मरामि अर्धहोरात्मकः कालः मह्यं प्रदत्तः तर्हि तावता कालेन ये केचन मुख्याः विषयाः भवन्ति तेषां किञ्चित् चर्चां कुर्मः। स्कोप ऑफ रिसर्च विशिष्टाद्वैत इति अंशद्वयम्। तो आप समझ सकते हैं इसमें दो अंश है, एक रिसर्च उसका स्कोप और दूसरा विशिष्टाद्वैता। तो अभी तक अलग अलग विषयों पे व्याख्यान हुए हैं ऐसा पता चला। तो विशिष्टाद्वैत विषय एक आधुनिक भी है, प्राचीन भी है, और उसके कुछ गंभीर विषयों पर हम चर्चा करेंगे। उसके पहले थोड़ा हम रिकैपिलेट करेंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा। रिसर्च टोटल डायमेंशंस हम देखेंगे। आप सभी तरुणों को पता है कि हमारा रिसर्च अभी थोड़ा ज्यादा रिलेवेंट रिसर्च की आवश्यकता है। पहले रिसर्च का पर्पस होता था कोई एक डिग्री मिलना, किसी को शादी होना, किसी को जॉब मिलना, तो बस रिसर्च का वो पर्पस। मगर रिसर्च का अदर पर्पस जो है वो एक अज्ञात विषय को प्रकाश में लाना या प्रकाश में आए हुए विषय पर विमर्श करना। कभी वो क्रिटिकल भी हो सकता है, कंपैरेटिव हो सकता है, मगर उस प्रकार का अध्ययन होना आवश्यक है, तो वो भी एक है। सो हम रिसर्च डायमेंशंस अलग अलग टाइप से देख सकते हैं। ये सारे विशिष्टाद्वैत में लागू है। जैसे इनोवेटिव रिसर्च है, इनोवेटिव रिसर्च में एक नए विषय को बाहर लाने का काम होता है। यू एक्चुअली go for innovative research, and through that particular research you bring out some novel concept, novel idea, and something unknown or less known. Such things are explored and such things are brought into light. So this is innovative research. Then we have creative research. So here that kind of research is being done through which something is newly created. So this goes into creative research. And if you observe, in our society, generally in all the marketing area, this creative research is being done. Because these people get into the society, they observe all the needs of the product, demand of the product, competition in the market. So everything they observe, analyze, and lay down some principles according to which some strategy is created. So this is all creative research. And especially in marketing area, this kind of research is very much encouraged. And we have analytical research. We all know that especially when somebody has propounded a theory, somebody has laid down some principle, so it is of substantial importance that we get into that particular product or we get into that particular theory and critically analyze that. So this is the way of getting into the subtler part of the content. So even Bertrand Russell says somewhere in his book that this is the logical atomism. That means we go on cutting that particular content into the minutest, subtlest parts. So analyzing a particular topic into its possible subtlest points is analytical. And through analytical research, we get into the reality or truth of that particular thing. So if we analyze, we get into the reality. If we don't analyze, there is every possibility that we are misled, carried away from reality. Sometimes we get confounded. So for that, an analytical research is required. Then we have publication. So publication in the sense that, for example, some unknown manuscript has come into light. So you have gone to a manuscript library and you have found that there has been lying a manuscript for so many years. Nobody has touched it, nobody has studied it. And you have got the rare opportunity of getting that manuscript into your hand. And this really gives a lot of satisfaction that you go through the manuscript. Sometimes, if it is required, you rewrite, transcribe that manuscript in a legible language, legible format. Then you analyze. So first part is procuring the manuscript. Second part, getting that into a readable format. And third, going through the manuscript content. And fourth one is publishing. So publishing is a general word, but behind that, I don't mean to say that publishing all nonsense cannot be research. Because every day throughout India, so many books have been published, so much of literature is being produced. But we all know that so much of literature does not really withstand time. So much of that disappears. So therefore, we are required to get into that kind of research which really gives some valuable thing to the society and utmost satisfaction to the researcher. That means ourselves. So in this publication research, we mean to say that we should go only for the unknown manuscripts, less known manuscripts, or such manuscripts where a critical study, critical edition is required, that kind of research. So that publication does carry value. So this publication is also a very valuable one, and many universities like Pune University encourages that kind of research where a manuscript edition is also awarded degree of PhD. So in other universities also this can be practiced very safely, that the student can be encouraged to go for manuscript edition and critical study. Because a few of my students have done that, and very beautifully they have come out with a wonderful research thesis. So one scholar worked upon the manuscript of Jagannatha Pandita. Another worked on the Hatha Yoga manuscript, which was available. Even today, it is available in Lahore, Pakistan library, in Nepal library, in Paris library. So our Hatha Yoga texts are available in throughout world in many university libraries. We are aware. We are not aware of the existence of such manuscripts, and very pathetic. But if you visit some important websites, you get information from them that manuscripts are available, and we can really get those manuscripts, at least the copies of the manuscripts, and publish them. This is publication. And the next important thing is the types of research. See, if we are newly propounding some theories, some principles that was untouched upon here before, it is basic research. So in Vishistadvaita also, whatever the earlier teachers had done, that was the basic research. This is known as fundamental research. And in some aspects, there is chance of applied research. This is known as lab research also. So in applied research, however, we go for the quantitative method and laboratory experiment or case studies. So this is possible in some limited areas. Then we have developmental research. As I told you, in marketing area, if a product is to be promoted, if something is to be developed, then a prior research is required, that the company conduct some research, and on the basis of the result acquired, it goes for the product. So this is developmental research. And the last one, which is more relevant and pertinent to our field, is library research, where we depend more on the published in the sense hard or soft, and the material available on website, etc. So basing on that particular material, we conduct our research. For example, critical analysis of a particular theory or concept, or even critical analysis of a particular thinker, it is possible. So this is critical analysis. Under this, we can do, for example, somebody had worked upon the contribution of Shankaracharya and the concept, philosophical concepts of Bradley. Somebody had worked upon Schopenhauer, Western. Somebody had worked on George Stuart Mill. See, we have Western thinkers, we have our own thinkers, and sometimes there are very striking parallels between them, as if they sat together and discussed the things, and they had written down. Such striking similarities are found between two ideologies, East and West. You can easily observe and appreciate that whatever Aristotle had done in his logic book, that is reflected in the Nyaya Sutra of Gautama Maharishi. Like the analysis of Padartha, Dravya, Guna. So this is the physical analysis of the world. The same thing Gautama Maharishi did, Dravya, Guna, Karma. The same thing you find in the works of Aristotle. And what Shankaracharya did at the same time, the other thinker from Western countries also did the same thing. So we find that sometimes there is every chance that you find some ideological similarities. This kind of ideological affinity can be studied and brought into light. Then we have comparative study. See, whatever I was telling to you, this can be a good content for comparative study. Because when you take two ideologies, two concepts, two theories, two thinkers, there is every chance of comparing each other. So thus, in Vishistadvaita also, we have some areas which can be compared with similar ideas somewhere. For example, in Yoga Shastra, when we talk about meditation, generally we think of Zen in Japan or Vipassana in Buddhism. So that kind of comparative study is possible even in Vishistadvaita. We will explore that also. Then I told you manuscript study, that many of the ancient texts are not available today. Unfortunately, most of them are known for namesake, secondary sources, and it's really great loss that such great works are totally oblivious. They have fallen into oblivion. And it may happen that when we visit libraries, when we go through the catalogs, manuscript catalogs, like Catalogus Catalogorum or Baroda manuscript catalog, or Sampurnananda, or Saraswati Mahal Tanjore, or Muzaffarnagar. So all these manuscript catalogs do contain some valuable information, and we can really visit those libraries and get those manuscripts. That will be great addition. And luckily I have been doing that. For example, I worked upon the yoga manuscript of Narayan Tirtha, 17th century. So after 300-400 years, we could get the manuscript, we worked upon that, and then we brought into light that Narayan Tirtha was a great yogi, great Vedanti. That came into light. Similarly, somebody had worked upon Shashadhara Mishra, who belonged to a period before Gangesh Upadhyay. Then he said, whatever Shashadhara had propounded, those ideas were taken by Gangesh Upadhyay also. So it happens that sometimes we unnecessarily attach value to something, then from research we come to know that it was already available before him. I don't want to belittle the value of any thinker or any school, but I would like to bring to your attention that, for example, Shankaracharya is known for his Kevaladvaita, that is absolute monism. But when we study, we understand that Shankaracharya was himself indebted to his predecessors like Gaudapadacharya, Shuka Brahma. Shuka Maharshi works are not available, but still we get some information from other sources that he was a great Vedanti. Similarly, Vishistadwaita depended more on the predecessors. For example, Saptavidha Anupapatti that are known from Sri Bhashyam on the Brahma Sutra are found in the Siddhitraya of Yamunacharya. So, Bhagavad Ramanujacharya was himself influenced by his predecessor's work. That was Siddhitraya. So, were there no Siddhitraya in existence, perhaps Bhagavad Ramanuja would not have got the inspiration to work upon the fallacies in the ideology of Shankaracharya. I think you get the point. So this happens, that we attach value to somebody, some school, some idea, but later we come to know that it already existed. So if proper research is done, such things, sometimes such misconceptions can be totally removed, and new understanding, new idea, a new dimension can be brought into light. This is exactly what I mean to say, that true research should bring out that kind of element into the world, which can change the world, which can bring something good into the society, or if it is good, then betterment of that. So research should be aimed at bringing about such change in the society. Otherwise, if research is done for research's sake without any social relevance, without any utility, practical utility, then I think that kind of research will face a natural death. That will have a death in the libraries, and nobody will study that. Nobody will get into that content. So, my sincere request to all the youngsters is that they should go for utility-based research, which is relevant, which is really needful to the society, because society is going through many turmoils, so much of imbalance in the society. You know that social imbalance and ideological imbalances, financial, that means economic imbalance. So if our research can contribute to the equilibrium in the society, balance in the society, then that kind of research will be definitely remembered forever, will have its own place in the history of research. So this is important. Now we can get into the matter. Whatever we were discussing, this Vishistadwita, qualified monism, they say Vishishta Advaita. This is Advaita. Then people think Advaita is actually attached with the name of Shankaracharya. Then what is this Vishishta Advaita? Then we should know from the Vedartha Sangraha of Ramanujacharya or even Bhashya, we should know that this is Advaita, but the difference between Shankaracharya's Advaita and Ramanujacharya's Advaita is that Shankaracharya's Advaita is expulsive Advaita and Bhagavad Ramanujacharya's Advaita is impulsive, or you can say inclusive Advaita. How? I'll explain to you. Shankaracharya says there is one Brahma, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma, Sadeva Somya Idamagra Asit, Tadaikshata Bahusyam Prajayaya. We all know. This is Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma, Neha Nanasti Kinchana. So Shankaracharya understands that there is one reality, it is absolute, it is the reality, without any attributes, without any qualities, without any properties, no action. Because the Upanishads tell us that it is Akriyam, Ashabdam, Arupam, Asparsham, Avyayam. So that kind of reality he had experienced spiritually, and he said, this is the reality. This is Advaita. Why Advaita? When there is only one Brahma, why you name that as Advaita? Unless you are in Dvaita, you cannot call that reality as Advaita, because it is only a relative term. Advaita is also a relative term, because it is referring to Dvaita within it. You get the point? So, Advaita. So, Dvaita is already there. So, Shankaracharya wants to say that some reality is there which is beyond this Dvaita. Then what is Dvaita? He says Mithya, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Then what about Jiva? He says Jivo Brahmaiva. Thus we understand among the triad, among the three, Brahma, Jiva, Jagat, among the three, Shankaracharya observes that Brahma is real, Jiva can be included in that as Chaitanya. Then this Jagat, which is Jada, which is Achetana, cannot be put into the Brahma. Therefore, this Jagat should be discarded as Mithya. Mithya is the term given by Shankaracharya. This is expulsive monism, I told you. Why? Because it is actually negating the world. Then Ramanujacharya came few hundred years after Shankaracharya, and Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, of course, under the influence of the works of the great scholars of South India, Alvar, we generally say Alvar. That means the great teachers in Tamil language, Divya Suri. So they were already there. Their literature was available in Tamil. And Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, like his predecessor Yamunacharya, was influenced by them. And on the lines of the works of Alvar, Yamunacharya, he had written the Bhashyas and Prakarana Granthas, and wonderful literature was produced. Then what all these teachers observed, what is the basic difference between Shankaracharya's understanding of the reality and the understanding of these acharyas? We find that it is Vishishta Advaita. So Advaita is the term given for Brahma. Brahma is Advaita. But this Brahma is all-inclusive. So Bhagavad Ramanujacharya's philosophy says that the Brahma, the complete reality, includes the Jiva and Jagat. You cannot separate anything from Brahman. You cannot negate anything. So this kind of relation they have found. That's why it is Vishishta Advaita. Let me give an example. When we say there is a blue lotus, Neelam Kamalam or Neela Kamalam, Neelatvabhinnam Kamalam. What do we say? How many Kamalas are there? One. But Neela is also there now. Neela and Kamala, two things are there. But we say, no. Neela qualifies the Kamala. Therefore, Kamalam is one. Similarly, Brahma is one. And Jiva and Jagat, they do qualify the Brahman. So therefore, Visishtam tad Advaitam, Visishtadvaitam. Or you can say, Visishtayoho Advaitam, Visishtanam Advaitam. Several explanations are provided by the learned commentators. So, Visishtam Tadadvaitam, if you take the Karmadhare Samasa, Tatpurushaha Samanadhikaranaha Karmadhareyaha. So, if you take the Karmadhare Samasa, it will be like Neelam Kamalam, Neela Kamalam, Visishtam Tadadvaitam. Or you can take Shashti Tatpurusha, like Visishtayoho Advaitam. So, this kind of explanation, this actually throws light on the important aspect of this philosophy, that the Brahman is alone, is the only reality. It doesn't mean that others are to be negated completely as illusion. So this important aspect was observed by the ancient acharyas, and they had beautifully presented that in their works. So this is Vishishtadvaita. And in this lineage, the parampara, we find Alvar Divyasuri. Then Bodhayana Maharshi was there. Bodhayana Maharshi, we all know that a great mathematician was also there, Bodhayana Vritti, Bodhayana. Some people think that he was the same Bodhayana, but Bodhayana may be another philosopher. And Bodhayana's commentary was referred to by Shankaracharya in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, especially on the Tattu Samanvayat. This is the Chaturtha Sutra, Chaturtha Adhikaranam also. So, while commenting on this particular sutra, Shankaracharya referred to the view of Bodhayana, and he did not agree with that. But Bhagavad Ramanujacharya agrees with that. Thus, we find Bodhayana, then Dramidacharya, Tankacharya, Guhadeva, Kabardi, Bharuchi. These were all ancient names. Similarly, Ashmaradhya, Kashakritsna, these are found in the Brahma Sutra. Sampatteriti Jaiminihi, and few sutras before that. You find the name of Ashmaradhya and Kashakritsna. Avasthiteriti Kashakritsnaha, Sampatteriti Jaiminihi. So the Acharya's name are referred to in the Brahma Sutra. At several places we come across Pratijna Siddherityashmaradhyaha. There is a sutra in Brahma Sutra. So these names are found. And people believe that actually those were the thinkers before all these great masters, and the credit goes to them because they had contributed. I told you that their works are not available. That is the problem, biggest problem. So the philosophy has come down to our generation. Then the ancient Vishistadvaita thinker, Natha Muni was there, Yamunacharya, because Yamunacharya was the grandson of Natha Muni only. Then Bhagavad Ramanujacharya in the 10th, 11th century. Then Sudarshana Suri. Sudarshana Suri was a contemporary scholar, and he was a direct disciple of Bhagavad Ramanuja. And Sudarshana Suri had written a very elaborative and very scholarly commentary on the Sri Bhashya, Brahma Sutra Bhashya of Ramanuja. Then we have the great incarnation, Vedanta Deshika. He is supposed to have written almost 100 books on Vishistadvaita, wonderful scholar. Then Pilla Lokacharya and others are there. So this Bhagavad Ramanuja tradition. But we note that before Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, Vishistadvaita was there. After Bhagavad Ramanujacharya also Vishistadvaita is there. But the credit of forming a school, the credit of creating a very rich literature goes to Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. So in Tamil, he is reverentially called as Emberumanar, Udayavar, Yatiraja. These are the epithets, titles given to him. And he led a broad religious movement in southern India in the 11th century. He changed the course of Hindu religious practice because he had visited the Srirangam temple, Perumbudur temple, Madurai, we have this Melkote, Yadavadri, then Tirupati, of course, Ahobilam. So several South Indian temples he had visited, and he had restructured the temple management. Especially the temple management is really a very big task, and in South India the temple management tradition began with Ramanujacharya. Before that, the temples were not properly maintained, so he had really appointed some people, assigned some duties, and really brought some permanence to the system there. So the Vishistadvaita survived because of his efforts. And his main teaching, we can find that it is in the form of service, divine service to all, then surrender to God energy, then meditation. So surrender to God energy, this is Bhakti Yoga in the form of Prapatti and Sharanagati. Service, it is Karma Yoga. And meditation, it is Dhyana Yoga. So Bhagavad Ramanujacharya believed in a kind of congregation of all these, or you can find a very beautiful synthesis of all these that he himself practiced. From his life story, we can understand that he had worked as a common priest in a temple for almost 13-14 years. His duty was to stand for hours together and offer tirtha and prasada to the devotees. That's all. At that time, he was not a teacher. He was not an acharya. He was not a big name. He was just a servant. So that kind of a lofty figure you can find in Ramanujacharya. The supreme end of existence is godly service. This is actually the pivotal principle of Vishistadvaita. That this godly service is required. And you can find its reflection in the life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also in Bengal. Service. Vivekananda ji, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all these believed that nobody is our enemy. We have no differences with anybody. It is all karma that is taking toll. So ultimately we have to understand the divine presence in everyone, and as far as possible, we should serve them. This is the thing. Then we have, to recapitulate, the Alvar, that means great teachers. Very important text you can find, that Mudalairam. So here they say some 100 granthas are available. Then second Alvar, Bhutanada, Mudalairam 100 grantha, Iyarpa. Peyalvar, Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanadha. So this is the tradition. You find Peyalvar, Mudalairam, again 100 grantha. So the first three contributed almost 300 granthas. These are known as Modal Airam, the first literature. Then Tirumali Say Alvar. Some people say Tirumaligai Alvar. So this is Tiruchanda Vratta. Then Nammalvar, the greatest incarnation, a very great wonder on the earth, that is Nammalvar. He left at a very early age, and almost first 16 years of his life he was just silent, not talking to anybody, not moving to any place. He was sitting under a tree for 16 years, but he got the knowledge of all the temples of India, and he had learnt all Bhagavatam, everything from previous birth itself. Everything he was repeating, because it is believed that maybe 75 years after the Niryan of Lord Krishna, this Nammalvar was born. So Lord Krishna left the world, and immediately after 75 years, this Nammalvar came. You can understand the influence of that, or you can find the spiritual atmosphere there, that Lord Krishna was there on the earth, and just that was the period he left and Nammalvar came into the world. So Nammalvar carried all that divine knowledge with him. He had written this Tiruvai Moji. Then Madhurakavi Alvar, Kanninun Shiruttambu, Kulashekar Alvar, like Mukundamala, he had written Tirumoji. Then Periyalvar, Tirupallandu, Andal Godadevi, Tiruppavai. Then Tondaradipudi Alvar. That means in Sanskrit he is known as Bhaktangri Renu. Bhaktangri Renu Alvar, they say. Tondar Adipudi Tirumalai. Then he wrote the Tirumalai text. Tiruppana Alvar was there. Amalanandi Piran. Tirumangai Alvar. Tirumoji, another version. So all these were the Tamil texts on which the Vishistadwaita philosophy is based. So my intention is here that if anybody wants to really absorb, assimilate, understand and analyze the philosophy of Vishistadwaita, he should know the history, the tradition, and he get into the roots. If he can get into the roots, then he can understand how the flowers and leaves have come out. So the origin should be properly known, and maybe out of comparative research we can know that maybe, I'm not sure, that the later writers had modified the early views or sometimes divergent views. It is possible that now we know only the modern works, but if we make a very deeper study, we can know that all the modern works are a modification of the ancient ones. And second thing, that sometimes the modern thinker may have deviated from the traditional trodden path. Possible. So this is one. And very important text later in Sanskrit are Yamunacharya's Siddhitraya, very important text on Vishistadwaita. You find a lot of research potential there, Because Siddhitraya basically Atma Siddhi, Ishvara Siddhi, Samvit Siddhi. So these are the Siddhis. And how to establish that? So basically that is the point. And here you find especially the topic of Samvit, consciousness, how it is misunderstood by other thinkers. What is the exact sense of consciousness? Because you may be surprised to know that in California, in Australia also, in some universities, in some departments, they are working on consciousness. Of course, it is experimental too. Like the psychological tools are used there to get accurate results. So this Siddhitraya, it's very important text in Vishistadvaita. You can get a lot of material from that. Then Agama Pramanya. Yamunacharya wrote another important text on Agama Pramanya. Then Gitartha Sangraha, a commentary on Gita. Then we have an immediate successor, because we can know at the time when Yamunacharya left this world in 1041, so you can understand that Ramanujacharya must be a 24-year-old boy. So when Ramanujacharya was very young, 24-year-old boy, Yamunacharya left the world, but he had passed on his divine energy to Ramanuja. Then Bhagavad Ramanujacharya had studied for several years all the important texts, and he had, of course, done tapasya, and he had come out with wonderful philosophy that to be given to the world as Vishishta Advaita. Actually, initially he did not name it as Advaita. It was only Vishishta Aikya, Vishishta Aikyam. But later, Sudarshana Suri, he had coined the word Vishishtadvaita. So Ramanujacharya's Sri Bhashya, this is a text on Brahma Sutra. Vedartha Sangraha. Actually, Vedartha Sangraha was written first, then Sri Bhashyam. Vedartha Sangraha was written in Tirupati. Sri Bhashyam was written in Srirangam Dise. Then Gadyatrayam, like Sharanagati Gadya. So Gadyatrayam is also available. He had written these, and of course Gita Bhashya and other books are also available. Sudarshana Suri, it is the time is rather controversial because some people say Ramanujacharya had directly taught several things to Sudarshana Suri, but according to the time available, that is mentioned by many, the problem is after Ramanujacharya's demise, Sudarshana Suri was born, 1200. That means almost 63 years after the demise of Ramanujacharya, Sudarshana Suri was born. But there is a traditional account in the Vishistadvaita circles that Sudarshana Suri was a direct disciple of Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya himself had dictated his Bhashya, and he had asked Sudarshana Suri to write a commentary on that. Thus, Sudarshana Suri had written Shruta Prakashika. Shruta Prakashika. Then Tatparya Deepika, Sharanagati Gadya Bhashya, etc. are also available. Then Vedanta Deshika, who is said to have written over 100 works, had written beautiful Shatadushani, then some poems like Sankalpa Suryodaya, etc. Then Pilla Lokacharya, another great scholar, he had written Mumukshupadi, Tattvatrayam, Arthapanchakam, Srivachana Bhushanam. Even today, these are all studied with all dedication, with all conviction in many Sri Vaishnava Matha schools. So the tradition is still maintained very beautifully in southern India, especially in Tamil Nadu and some part of Andhra Pradesh also. We have good Vaishnava teachers in north also, like Uttar Pradesh, like Haridwar, Kurukshetra, then Varanasi. We have wonderful teachers. Now, when we come to the Vishistadvaita, we should know that actually any Advaita will be talking about three things. So, अभी हम ऐसा सोचते हैं कि वेदांत किसके बारे में सोचना, वेदों का अंत क्या है, अंत का अर्थ क्या होता है, निष्कर्ष. सो वेदों का निष्कर्ष क्या है, वेद का अल्टीमेट तात्पर्य क्या है. तो वो देखने के लिए हम जब वेद थोड़ा पढ़ने का प्रयास करते हैं तो वेद का जो निष्कर्ष है वो वेदों से लेना मुश्किल है, तो उसका अंत अपने प्राचीन आचार्यों ने लेकर उपनिषदों में रखा. सो उपनिषदों में जो मिलता है वो वेदों का ही तात्पर्य है, इसलिए उसको वेदांत कहते हैं. और ये वेदांत किसके बारे में बताता है, जीव जगत ईश्वर, ये आखिर किसी को भी इन्हीं के बारे में बताना है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जगत, तो नास्तिक, चारवाक, बौद्ध, जैन कोई भी जगत के बारे में कुछ तो बताएगा. सो जगत, जीव करके हाँ या ना कुछ तो बताना पड़ेगा, तो जगत, जीव जगत. और थर्ड है ईश्वर. तो कुछ लोग भगवान ईश्वर मानेंगे, कुछ लोग नहीं मानेंगे. जो मानेंगे वो अपने तरफ से बताएंगे, जो नहीं मानेंगे वो इनका खंडन करेंगे. ईश्वर का निराकरण नास्तिकों ने किया. उनके आक्षेपों का समाधान देते हुए जैसे न्याय कुसुमांजलि में उदयनाचार्य ने लिखा, ऐसे बाकी आचार्यों ने भी लिखा. सो ये जीव जगत ईश्वर है, तत्वत्रय, इन तीनों को एक ही यूनिट में देखना विशिष्टाद्वैत है. इसमें आप जीव को, जगत को हटाकर ब्रह्मा ईश्वर नहीं देखेंगे, सब मिलके एक है. ये महाराष्ट्र में ज्ञानेश्वर महाराज के ज्ञानेश्वरी में भी यही है कि जग को अलग करके भगवान को देखना नहीं होता. सो जग के साथ देखना, ये वंडरफुल फिलॉसफी आप विष्णु सहस्त्रनाम में देख सकते हैं. विश्वम विष्णुर्वषट्कारो भूत भव्य भवत प्रभु, इसमें विश्वम विष्णु हूं, ये फिलॉसफी है. ये सारा विश्व ही विष्णु है. सो इसको हटा के, इसको मिथ्या कहकर कुछ भगवान को ढूंढना नहीं होगा. ये ब्यूटीफुल एक सिद्धांत हमें यहां मिलता है. ऐसा जीव जिसका दूसरा नाम चित्त है, जगत इसका दूसरा नाम अचित, ईश्वर है, ये तीन. तो विशिष्टाद्वैत जब इन तीनों के बारे में विश्लेषण करता है तो कैसा बताता है, इसके अनुसार सारे जीव नित्य है, मुक्त है और कुछ बद्ध है. तो जीवों के भी क्लासिफिकेशन करते हैं. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस क्लासिफिकेशन देयर आर 3 काइंड्स ऑफ जीवास. सम जीवास आर नित्य and they always remain with the divine energy. They enjoy that beautiful moment and they are all nitya suri. They are in the Vaikuntha, they say. Second are mukta. That means earlier they were baddha, now they are mukta. And some are there, they are baddha like us. We are in the bandhana. We are in the snare of this world. We are in the attractions of Prakriti. We love it. We long for it. So we are baddha. Now we have to raise ourselves. Then maybe in some birth or some other birth we get to the level of mukta. But nityas are always different. So this is one. Then achit is there. This is the non-conscious, that means inert universe. All jada is achit. It is jagat. Then third is Ishvara. Ishvara is Sarvajna, omniscient. Sarvavyapi, omnipresent. Swatantra, independent. And this Ishvara is the creator. If you compare with Shankaracharya, you find that Shankaracharya assigns a very low, inferior position to this Ishvara. Because according to Shankaracharya, there is a higher version, that is the higher reality, Nirguna Brahma. But to Ramanujacharya, this itself is the higher. There is no higher one. Highest is Saguna. It is active ruler. Because in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also, when it was asked by Gargi, then Yajnavalkya replied, Etasya prashasane Gargi Surya Chandramaso Vidruto Tishtataha Etasya Aksharasya prashasane. So this is the command, this is the order, this is the law of this Ishvara, that everything should be in its proper place. Like the sun, the solar system, all the planets moving around, doing their duty, and the galaxy, the entire universe, all this is according to the will and order of this Ishvara. And Badarayana Maharshi had taken this particular idea, and you find a Brahma Sutra, Sacha Prashasanat Aksharam Ambaranta Dhrutehe. Actually, Aksharam Ambaranta Dhrutehe, first sutra, then Sacha Prashasanat. So this is the Prashasanam. And in Vishistadvaita, they give more emphasis onto this particular one, Prashasana. And they say, this Prashastra, that means Prashasakatva, itself is a guna. Therefore, Brahma is Saguna, no Nirguna. Then we have destroyer. Even destruction is the duty of Ishvara. Therefore, the Brahma includes everything. Therefore, it is Vishishta Advaita. Thus, if you take it as a whole, Brahman is the whole, containing Jagat and Jiva within. How? Like there is a tree. Yes, one tree, a tree we say. But you can understand that the tree itself automatically contains its roots, branch, leaves, flowers, everything. So all this put together tree. Or you can say, when a pregnant lady is coming, you say a lady is coming. But what about the child in her womb? Automatically he is coming. You cannot separate it. You cannot take away the blue color from the lotus. When you say blue lotus, the blue color is already there. So when you say Brahma, the Jiva and Jagat are already there. There cannot be any Brahma without Jiva and Jagat. And there cannot be Jiva and Jagat without Brahma. How? Because in the Bhagavad Gita also it is explained. Ishvaraha sarva bhuteshu hruddeshe arjuna tishtati. So Ishvara is there in all beings in the heart. The heart is the residence, locus of the Ishvara. So automatically it leads to the conclusion that Ishvara is everywhere. Yaf prithvivyam tishthan prithvim antara yamayati yam prithvi naveda yasya prithvi shariram. Starting with this, almost 17 descriptions are there in the Brihadaranyaka, Antaryami Brahmana, ending with the Atma. Yaha Atmani tishthan Atmanam antara yamayati yam Atma naveda yasya Atma shariram, till that. All the 17 descriptions, they are actually various aspects of the Brahma. And it shows that everything is the Sharira, body, and inside Ishvara is there as the Shariri. So what relation you find between Jiva Jagat and Ishvara? Ishvara is the Atma, Jiva Jagat are the Sharira. You can understand like that, no problem. Or you can say like Neela Kamala, Neelatva Prakaraka. So Neela Visheshanaka. Then you have Prakara, Prakari. So the lotus is Prakari, Mila is Prakara. Or you can say Shesha, Sheshi. Shesha is generally the balance. But Shesha can mean a part. Sheshi is the whole. Or if you want to really take the technical sense of the word, Shesha, in the third adhyaya of Mimamsa Sutra, you find this Shesha Pararthaha. Beautiful definition. Sutra is there. Sheshaha Pararthaha. That means in the world, whatever is for the sake of other, it is Shesha. For example, I have a mobile. The mobile is Shesha because it is for me. Thus, in the world, everything is Shesha because everything is for the sake of other. And the entire world, all the jivas are Shesha because they are all for the sake of God energy. So God is Sheshi and everything is Shesha. In Mimamsa Shastra, of course, Dravya is Shesha, Devata is Shesha, Yajamana is also Shesha. Various opinions are there. In Vishistadwita, the earlier teachers had explained Paragata Atishaya Adhanechaya Upadeyatvam Sheshatvam. Ultimately, what can you call as Shesha? That is Shesha which can be, or you can say, whose existence is always for the sake of other. That means it cannot have any existence for its own sake, always for the divine energy. So we are all there. For example, all human beings, all animals, all trees, plants, everything is beautifully designed by the God, and all these are created by the God. Therefore, naturally, they owe a lot of indebtedness to the God energy. So, Shesha Sheshi. Similarly, Amsha Amshi, part and whole. You cannot separate the Amsha and search for the whole, or you cannot have the whole without the part. Very typical. For example, you have 100 rupees. If somebody says, how many 25s you have? You say 4. So thus 4 25s are there. But still you can say 100, or you can say 10 10s are there, or 5 20s are there, in whatever manner. But these are all part. That means they are the components. So the Brahma itself is the reality which actually includes all these. If you exclude them, how can you know the Brahma? That is the problem. Adhara, Adheya, that relation is there. That means Brahma is the Adhara and everything is Adheya. That means Brahma is the supporting element and everything else is depending element. That is Niyamya, Niyanta, controlling and controlled. This sense is there. Raksha, Rakshaka is also there. So one is protecting, other is being protected. Thus, in the Sri Bhashya of Ramanujacharya, if you go through the text, you will find several important research topics, like as I told you, the Samvit concept. Second, the logical fallacies in Advaita. Third, in Sri Bhashya, you come across the analysis of dreams. Analysis of dreams in Sri Bhashya is a very beautiful one, because according to Sri Bhashya, that is Vishistadwita of Ramanuja, dreams are true. According to Shankaracharya and Gaudapadacharya, dreams are mithya, false. So this is the basic difference. So this Sri Bhashya of Ramanuja is a very structured reconstruction of philosophy of the Upanishads, and due importance is given to perception, inference, all scriptures. So this is a reconstruction. What it presents? It presents the Brahma, the Supreme Spirit, as the transcendent repository of all perfections, and as its own embodiment, the totality of finite existence. So everything is included in that. What is the final goal and what is the pathway to the final goal? This is nothing but blissful communion with Brahman. That means we should not fear from death. We should always long for the divine energy, and when time comes, we should be ready to get one with the God energy. This is the blissful communion. It comes from devotion. It is bhakti, facilitated by life of virtue and founded on assured philosophical understanding. And what comes out of it? Eternal experience of Brahma. This is known as moksha. This is fourfold. Sayujya, Samipya, Sarupya, Salokya. So it continues, eternal, and it is supreme ecstasy of the God. That's why in the Taittiriya Upanishad, etasya anandasya matram upajivanti sarve etasya matram upajivanti. So Ananda is Brahma, and all of us derive that happiness or bliss from that Brahma only. That's why in the 6th Adhikarana of Brahma Sutra, first pada, first adhyaya, we say Anandamayo bhyasad vikara shabdat niti chenna prachuryat tadhetu vyapadeshacha. This is important. Tadhetu vyapadeshacha means it is referring to Taittiriya Upanishad that Brahman is the source of all bliss. That's why whenever Thakur Ramakrishna Paramahamsa just observed the flying birds or the beautiful clouds, he entered into that ecstatic trance, and his face was gleaming with just shining with that ecstasy, that great happiness. So the happiness is within us. Unnecessarily we are searching for it outside. That is the problem. Then we have the influence of Ramanuja as a research topic. So we can understand that Bhagavad Ramanuja had exerted a lot of influence on later thinkers also, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu philosophy. Jiva Goswami, he said, Pramita Mahimnam. That means whose glory is already established. So they have great reverence for Ramanuja. This is Jiva Goswami of Achintya Bheda Bheda. But Appaya Dikshita, who is known for his Advaita affiliation, he said, Sri Bhashya is great. And that's why he himself had written, though he was an Advaiti, he had written a commentary on Sri Bhashya, Nyaya Mayuka Malika. And he had used Sri Bhashya while writing the Shivarka Manidipika also. So this influence can be seen in two ways, the Eastern and Western. In Western theological concept, you can compare Vishistadvaita with pantheism. So in West we have pantheism, and Vishistadvaita comes very close to that. You can understand that. And lastly, of course, later after the demise of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, Vishistadvaita thinkers, they split into two, like Vadagalai and Tenkalai. So the northern Tamilian, they were Vadagalai, and southern, they were Tenkalai. And Vedanta Deshika, they Vadagalai Sampradaya, and Pilla Lokacharya, Tenkalai Sampradaya. See, the basic difference is that in the Vadagalai, the Alvar words, Acharya's words are ultimate. But they had accepted Sanskrit. But in the Tenkalai Sampradaya, Alvars, of course, important. But Tamil texts are very important, not the Sanskrit one. So Tenkalai, that is Tamil. And you understand, Lakshmi is Paramatma. According to Vadagalai Sampradaya, Lakshmi is Jivatma according to Tenkalai. And Anugraha Bhakti is important. But divine grace is cooperative, where in this here it is irresistible or ineluctable. So all these are there. So thus we can know from history that there was a lot of differences also. And my sincere appeal is that you take Vedartha Sangraha first, start your study of Vishistadvaita with Vedartha Sangraha. That is the condensed Sri Bhashyam, you can say, because Sri Bhashyam is nothing but the elaboration of that. So you can find all the elements of that in Vedartha Sangraha. Or if Vedartha Sangraha is tough, then you can take Yatindra Matadipika of Srinivasa. So you can take that Yatindra Matadipika. Ramakrishna Math also published that. So you can study these important texts of Vishistadvaita and get some research topics for your further research also. So with this, I conclude here, and I thank all of you with a lot of patience. This weekend you are here, and okay, yes.
थैंक यू सर। अभी मैं विशेष रूप से बाकियों से निवेदन करना चाहूंगा कि आज के इस सत्र में उपस्थित जो भी यहाँ पे है शोधार्थी छात्र छात्राएं और अध्यापक अध्यापिकाएं गवेषक गवेषिकाएं जो भी है, कुछ प्रश्न हैं तो सर से पूछ सकते हैं आप लोग। थोड़ा सा हम लोग इसके लिए वक्त लेंगे। किसी का कुछ प्रश्न है तो पूछ सकते हैं सर से। फिलहाल अभी लगता है किसी का कुछ प्रश्न नहीं है, तो मैं एकदम अंतिम चरण में ही बढ़ूंगा, क्योंकि कुछ विषय है कि अच्छा किसी का हाथ उठा है, कुछ प्रश्न है तो पूछ सकते हैं आप लोग। किसी का कुछ प्रश्न है तो।
हेलो,
अच्छा ठीक है,
नमस्ते।
हाँ हाँ पूछ सकते हैं। हाँ,
मेरा एक प्रश्न है कि जहां हम जब हम विशिष्टाद्वैत टेक्स्ट और अद्वैत टेक्स्ट को कंपेयर से पढ़ते हैं, तो तब हम देखता है कि वृत्ति का जो विषय है, वो वृत्ति का विषय को लेकर दोनों संप्रदाय अलग हो गया है। जहां अविद्याश्रयत्व का प्रश्न उठता है कि ब्रह्म में अविद्या कैसे आश्रित है। जब ये प्रश्न हम देखता है हमारा अद्वैत शास्त्र में उठता है और इसका खंडन विशिष्ट अद्वैत में होता है, तब एडवांस्ड अद्वैतीन टेक्स्ट जैसे आपके अद्वैत सिद्धि और उसके ऊपर लिखित जो टीका है लघु चंद्रिका बालवधिनी, वहां पर जब इस प्रश्नों को, इस खंडन का खंडन हो, तब उन्होंने वृत्ति का एक आशय को लेकर उसका खंडन किया है। तो मेरा प्रश्न ये है, वो तो वृत्ति का जो प्रश्न वहां पर उठा है उसका तो खंडन यहाँ पर नहीं हुआ। मतलब ये जो विशिष्ट अद्वैत परंपरा में तो नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि रामानुजाचार्य ने स्वयं तो वृत्ति का स्वीकार ही नहीं किया है। तो क्या इस विषय, वृत्ति का विषय विशिष्ट अद्वैत और अद्वैत वेदांतों का जो शोध है, उस शोध में एक रिसर्च गैप हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता है? यही मेरा।
हाँ, यस अनिश जी, बहुत अच्छा है। तो मुझे समझ में आया कि आप बालबुद्ध ने अपने बागची सर का बंगाली है, तो बहुत ही सुंदर महामहोपद है, बागची सर ने भी लिखा। और आप गौड़ ब्रह्मानंद उनकी लघु चंद्रिका व्याख्या है अद्वैत सिद्धि पर। तो ये जो वृत्ति है अत्यंत प्राचीन, वो एक्चुअली आज नहीं मिल रहे हैं, यहाँ वहाँ रेफरेंसेस मिलते हैं। उसी वृत्ति के लिए भगवद रामानुजाचार्य और श्रीशैल पूर्ण पैदल गए थे कश्मीर, वहां रहकर 6 महीना प्रयास करके उसे लिया। और कहा जाता है कि जो वृत्ति ग्रंथ का रेफरेंस शंकराचार्य दे रहे हैं, उस वृत्ति को प्रत्यक्ष हाथ में लेकर स्टडी करके फिर अपने संप्रदाय के अनुसार शंकराचार्य का खंडन इन्होंने किया। तो इसमें एक बात ऐसी है कि अविद्या के बारे में प्राचीन काल से आक्षेप है। शंकराचार्य ने अपने भगवत गीता भाष्य में एक जगह में कहा भी कि अविद्या कस्येति प्रश्नः अनुपपन्नः यह पृच्छति तस्यैव, ऐसा एक वाक्य मिलता है कि अविद्या का आश्रय ब्रह्म है या जीव है, ऐसा एक प्रश्न आया। ये अविद्या आश्रयानुपपत्ति करके हमें श्री भाष्य में मिलता है पहले ही आरंभ में कि आश्रयानुपपत्ति, स्वरूपानुपपत्ति, निवर्तकानुपपत्ति, निवर्त्यानुपपत्ति, तिरोधानुपपत्ति, ये अनुपपत्तियां हैं, सप्तविध अनुपपत्ति। मगर वेदांत देशिकाचार्य ने और भी जोड़ दिया, 70 तक लेके गया। ये अनुपपत्तियां अर्थात लॉजिकल फैलेसीज इन द फिलोसॉफिकल एनालिसिस तो दिखाए। तो बात ऐसी आती है कि शंकराचार्य ने जब अविद्या को हाथ में लिया तब भगवत रामानुज पूछते हैं कि आप ये अविद्या को कैसे साबित करेंगे, ये कहाँ है अविद्या, ये बड़ा प्रॉब्लम। तब बाद में के जो आधुनिक, आपने कहा जैसा आधुनिक अद्वैताचार्यों ने इस पर भी विचार किया, जैसे नृसिंहाश्रम सरस्वती जी ने किया, जैसे कुछ जगह में चित्सुखी में है, जबकि खंडन खंडकादि में नहीं है, चित्सुखी में है, और अद्वैत सिद्धि में तो है ही। सो इन आचार्यों ने प्राचीन विषयों के खंडन करने के लिए ग्रंथ लिखे। तो ये एक बहुत अच्छा विषय रहेगा कि वृत्तिकार का कहना क्या है, उसे अद्वैत में कैसा लिया गया, विशिष्टाद्वैत में कैसा लिया गया, ऐसा एक इंडिपेंडेंट अनबयास्ड एक अध्ययन हो सकता है, एक अच्छा है।
तो अभी हम लोग एकदम सत्र समाप्ति की ओर आ पहुंचे हैं। अभी गौरी कुमारी मुंडा मैम का जो उनका जो कंक्लूडिंग स्पीच है वो था, उसमें विषय है कि मैम हमको सद्य ही जस्ट मैम मैसेज की है, हमारे ये पूर्व भारतीय प्रांत जो है अभी साइट्स में, मैंने झारखंड बंगाली साइट्स में कुछ दिनों से झंझावात बहुत हो रहे हैं, थंडरस्टॉर्म। तो मैम शुरू में बहुत समय तक थी, अंत में मुझे थोड़ा सा मैसेज की थी कि कुछ यांत्रिक कुछ यांत्रिक समस्याएं हैं, उस कारण इंटरनेट के कुछ समस्याएं हैं, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का कुछ समस्याएं हैं उनके प्रांत में, वहां पे जहां वो है धनबाद के जिस प्रांत में। तो इसी कारण हमको खेद जताती हुई बोली है कि हम शुरू में थे लेकिन जुड़ नहीं पा रहे हैं। तो किसी तरह हमको व्हाट्सएप में भी मैसेज किए थे, तो हम लोग उसको स्किप करके उसको हम लोग आगे बढ़ते हैं। और भी बहुत सारे जो भी हमारे प्रांत से, अपने पश्चिम बंगाल, बिहार, झारखंड प्रांत से और भी जो शोध छात्र छात्राएं हैं, वो सब भी जुड़ नहीं पा रहे थे, व्हाट्सएप में मैसेज कर रहे थे हम सबको। तो आज इसलिए उतना शायद हो नहीं पाया है जनसम्मर्द, जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं शोधार्थियों का सम्मर्द। तो इसी कारण मैं भी मधुसूदन पेन्ना जी से, शैलेंद्र कुमार सिंह जी से क्षमा मांगता हूँ। ये रिकॉर्डिंग है ऑलरेडी, ये उन सब के पास पहुंचा दिया जाएगा। और अभी धन्यवाद ज्ञापन की ओर हम बढ़ते हैं, वोट ऑफ थैंक्स। मैं समग्र BSSEI सर्च टू रिसर्च परिवार की तरफ से प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर मधुसूदन पेन्ना जी को धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करना चाहूंगा। वाइस चांसलर, कुलपति कवि कुलगुरु संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी रामटेक महाराष्ट्र के उपाचार्य हैं। जो एक बहुत अच्छा सा विषय हमको लगा है, जब मैं सर से शुरू में सर से कम्युनिकेट किया था, योग किया था सर से, तब सर हमको उत्साह प्रदान करते हुए बताए थे कि आप सब ऐसे एक साथ सम्मर्द समूह बना के ऐसे आप सब रिसर्च के विषय में काम कर रहे हैं। बंगाल में आजकल ये सब चर्चाएं बहुत कम है, सच में ही ये सब चर्चाएं बहुत कम है। आजकल ये जो टाइम पीरियड है इस समय में, सच में ये थोड़ा सा हताशजनक है। बंगाल में संस्कृति की चर्चा, संस्कृत की चर्चा, भारतीय दर्शन की चर्चा, सच में ही ये बहुत कम हो रहा है। तो इसमें हम लोग आगे अगर नहीं बढ़ेंगे आप सबके गुरुजन की तरफ, तो ये आप सबके लिए, हम सबके लिए ठीक नहीं होगा। तो इसी कारण जरूर हम जुड़ेंगे, हम जरूर एक दिन आपको समय देंगे, आएंगे। तो ये उनका आशीर्वचन था हम सभी शोधार्थी छात्र छात्राओं के लिए, जो आज यहाँ पे मौजूद हैं, पूरे भारत पर से जो यहाँ पे मौजूद हुए हैं, बंगाल से, झारखंड से, बिहार से, जो भी शोध शोध छात्र छात्रा यहाँ पे मौजूद हुए हैं, उन सब के लिए तो मैं विशेष रूप से मधुसूदन पेन्ना जी को भूय भूय धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करना चाहूंगा आज के इस सत्र में आने के लिए सर, और हम सबको अपना बहुमूल्यवान समय हम सबको देने के लिए। मैं इस समय क्या बोलूंगा ये खुद ही मुझको पता नहीं चल रहा है, क्योंकि सर जो बोल रहे थे मुझे लग रहा था कि मैं एक उपन्यास सुन रहा था। उनके जो बोलने की शैली जो है, जो अदाएं हैं, कि कैसे एक फिलोसॉफी वो डेवलप किया है टाइम बाय टाइम, डे बाय डे। जैसे मैं टाइम मशीन में समय की जो सारणी है उसमें मैं ट्रैवल कर रहा था, मैं भ्रमण कर रहा था, उसमें कैसे बढ़ा है वो चीज, अंत तक में गया वो तेंगलई बड़े गलई संप्रदाय तक जाके वो खत्म हुआ। वहां पे हम लोग आगे जाके क्या शोध कर सकते हैं, आगे के दिनों में कौन से स्क्रिप्चर्स अभी तक बाकी रह गए हैं जिन सब के ऊपर हम लोग क्रिटिकल स्टडी कर सकते हैं, कॉम्पैरेटिव स्टडी कर सकते हैं, डिस्क्रिप्टिव रिसर्च कर सकते हैं। तो मतलब वाक्य स्फूर्ति नहीं हो रही है कि मैं सर को कैसे धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करूं, मैं सर को कैसे मैं उनको कैसे अपना प्रणाम, अपना शीश मैं उनके चरण वर्चुअली मैं झुकाता हूँ, कैसे वे हम सबको मार्ग प्रदर्शन किए हैं। शुरू में भी हम देखे कि वो मैसेज में लिख रहे हैं। हम लोग का इंट्रोडक्शन यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन कुछ ऐसे करते हैं कि मैंने बांग्ला में इंट्रोडक्शन शुरू होता है सभी शोधार्थी छात्र छात्राओं को थोड़ा सा इकट्ठा करने के लिए, बंगाल प्रांत से जो सब है उन सब के लिए। तो सर वहां पे भी वो जो भी भारतवर्ष के दूसरे जगह से, दूसरे प्रांत से छात्र छात्राएं जुड़े हैं, please bear with us and then we will proceed with English, Hindi and Sanskrit etc. this kind of languages। जैसे कि एक बरगद के पेड़ में कोई एक पंछी एक बीज गिरा के भी जाता है तो उस बड़े से बरगद के पेड़ से भी पेड़ निकलते हैं और वो बरगद के पेड़ उन सभी पेड़ों को स्थान देते हैं। सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और बहुत बहुत नमन आपको। और उपस्थित थे श्रद्धेय अध्यापक डॉक्टर शैलेंद्र कुमार सिंह जी। सर को सर इतने आत्मीय हैं, सर को एक बार खबर करने से ही सर आप पहुंचे हैं कि सच में तुम सब ऐसे रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स मिलके ये सब काम कर रहे हो, तो हम क्यों नहीं आए, हम क्यों नहीं जुड़े और तुम सबका थोड़ा सा सहायक क्यों नहीं बने। मैम है हमारी रेखा ओझा मैम, इस सेशन में आज उपस्थित नहीं है, विश्व भारती विश्वविद्यालय के फिलोसॉफी एंड कंपैरेटिव रिलीजन डिपार्टमेंट के मैम है। मैम सर के विषय में थोड़ा सा कम्युनिकेट कराए हमके कि हमको कि शैलेंद्र कुमार सिंह जी से मिलो, सर आएंगे, इंट्रोडक्टरी स्पीच और बेनेडिक्टरी स्पीच जो भी तुम लोग मांग रहे हो उसके लिए सर को एक बार फोन किया। सर विजिटेड अस virtually। I am very thankful to sir Dr. Shailendra Kumar Singh sir and the entire team BSSEI Research is very thankful to Professor Madhusudan Penna sir, Dr. Shailendra Kumar Singh sir, obviously Dr. Shailendra Kumar Singh, assistant professor, Magadh University, Bodh Gaya, Bihar। many thank you sir and our heartfelt pranam to you sir। बहुत प्रणाम आपको और धन्यवाद आपको। और सत्र के शुरू में जुड़ी हुई थी गौरी कुमारी मुंडा मैम, मैं समस्याएं बताया क्या है इसी कारण मैम रह नहीं पाई, शुरू में बहुत समय तक मैम थी और समय भी दी है, इसी कारण मैं वर्चुअली गौरी कुमारी मुंडा मैम को, डॉक्टर गौरी कुमारी मुंडा असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर राजा सेवा प्रसाद कॉलेज झरिया, विनोद बिहारी महातो कोयलांचल यूनिवर्सिटी, मैं उनको भी धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूँ। शुरू में उपस्थित थी, अभिभावकों की तरह हम सबका मार्ग प्रदर्शन किए, उपस्थित होकर हम सबके अभिभावक किए बाकी महोदय महोदयाओं के साथ। और उपस्थित कुछ समय तक उपस्थिति सेविका नाग महाशया, कलिकाता संस्कृत महाविद्यालय विश्वविद्यालय के अद्वैत वेदांत विभाग के प्राक्तन विभागाध्यक्ष तथा सहकारी अध्यापिका मैम भी उपस्थित थी। सर को सुन रहे थे मैम, मैं देखा। तो सभी गुरुजन जो यहाँ पे उपस्थित हुए हैं सभी को मैं प्रणाम निवेदित करता हूँ। तो अभी शांति पाठ के माध्यम से हम लोग सत्र समाप्ति की ओर बढ़ेंगे। अभी शांति पाठ की ओर बढ़ते हैं। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम तत्सत्। श्री राम कृष्णार्पणमस्तु। सभी को सादर नमस्कार। सर पेन्ना सर, थैंक यू सर, बहुत अच्छा लगा सर। एंड शैलेंद्र कुमार सर जी, बहुत
आप
बहुत
सभी
प्रणाम।
आनंद आ गया सर, आनंद आ गया।
यंग यंग प्रोफेसर्स को बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन। आप आगे ये ट्रेडिशन ले जाएंगे, रिसर्च ये सब आपके हाथ में है। सो आपको सारी शुभकामनाएं, और आपके वजह से इन सबको भी थोड़ा एक अच्छा इवनिंग चला जाता है, नहीं तो बाकी समय अपन होता है, यहाँ अच्छा हुआ। सो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अनंत जी और शैलेंद्र सिंह सर, सबको बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्ते।
आप सबके आशीर्वचन बने रहे हम सब के ऊपर, हम लोगों का मार्ग जो
साथ साथ
मुश्किल तक होगा।
संगच्छध्वम सम्मदध्वम, बस।
तो सर
ठीक।
हम लोग यहाँ पे भी समाप्ति
प्रणाम।
और बढ़ते हैं, तो समाप्ति करते हैं सर।
धन्यवाद
सभी को शुभ
धन्यवाद।
संध्या, सभी को शुभ संध्या। और जो भी आज सब दर्शक यहाँ पे उपस्थित हुए थे, उन सभी को भी शुभेच्छा। ऐसे ही जुड़े रहिए। प्रणाम सभी को।
शुभरात्रि।
हाँ हाँ हाँ।